So for anybody who's new to the channel, as I said before, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're going to be covering a lot of these cases. This is day one. Day one, I repeat, day one of this trial. And honestly, it's a Tennessee case. Tennessee versus Latasha Daniels. Latasha Daniels is right over here on the right hand side. We'll get into the other parties as you see on this photo. Husband and wife, that's their titles, but it's a little bit deeper than that. Let me get a video pulled up just to give y'all a little idea of the backstory. Now this is an older case. I believe this happened in 2019. So there is a 6-year window that this trial was actually being postponed. Okay, got a short, let me cue this up real quick. And if anybody want to chime in, definitely get in the comment section. But without further ado, let's roll this from the top. Let me know if the audio is too intense. Let me know if it's too high.
Your whole health is more than what you find.
All right, so they got a little commercial. But I want to know if this pastor made it to heaven. Yeah, the victim in this case is a pastor. And some of the details that's going to come out in this trial, I know are going to be rather shocking to some people, but I don't think it's going to be shocking to me. I kind of got an idea where this is going.
Police officers.
And new details about the woman accused of killing that Memphis pastor. Police say Latasha Daniels tried to escape custody by running out of the emergency room after the shooting. Daniels is charged in the murder of Brodes Perry and the attempted murder of his wife, Tabatha. Good evening. I'm Conchi Anthony.
And I'm Joe Birch, and WMC Action News 5's Ali Herrera joins us now live with details released today about that case. Ali?
Joe and Condi, Colleyville police say that shooting happened here at Meridian Park Apartments Thursday night. Now, we've learned all three of the people involved knew each other.
And this is the thing that's probably going to, like I say, shock a lot of people, but not so me. Pastor confiding in somebody that they're providing counseling for. It just seems like things went left in all the wrong ways. Pastor is married. More than likely, the female is probably married. I know a lot more details than what we got to at this point, but just from this news report, if you knew nothing else, you probably have an idea where this is going.
You broke my heart. That's what a Colleyville police affidavit revealed Latoshia Daniels repeatedly said after she shot Pastor Brodes Perry and his wife, Tabatha. It happened Thursday night at the Meridian Park Apartments in Collierville. 42-year-old Tabatha Perry told investigators she let Daniels into the apartment because they knew each other from living in Little Rock. About a half an hour later, 36-year-old Pastor Perry got home. All three talked for about 10 minutes until the Perrys walked Daniels to the door. Tabatha Perry says that's when 39-year-old Daniels grabbed a gun from her jacket and started to shoot Brodes Perry. At one point, Daniels told Tabatha Perry to, quote, get out of the way, then shot her in the shoulder. Perry told police Daniels was reloading the gun before police got there. Daniels was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. In this police report, Tabatha Perry told investigators the actions and words said by Daniels led her to believe her husband was having an affair.
Yeah. So just from them key details that popped up, basically, the defendant, as you heard, she came over to the pastor's house. She met with the pastor's wife. Now, over the course of this relationship, to whatever extent it is, you can tell that the two women knew each other. The defendant came to visit the pastor, who wasn't home at the time. The two ladies, they spoke for 30 minutes. Then he pops up. He comes home. When he comes home, They all sit, all three of them. They talk for about 10 minutes, and then it seems like the wife is escorting her out the door. But before she has a chance to close the door and leave, violence rang out. And through the ordeal, the wife was wounded and the husband died. So now that we have a little bit of backstory on what took place over here, I'm going to be honest with you. Not a good sign. Definitely not good.
This revelation just shy of 2 months after the pastor took to Facebook. Quote, "Thank you for navigating this thing called life with me." He wrote about his wife Tabatha on Valentine's Day. In the post, he says it's their 5th anniversary.
Okay, so 5th anniversary with his wife. He wrote on Facebook, Valentine's Day. Was it a little bit too much for this female to bear? Was she a lover? Was she somebody who just happened to read this post, or did she not even see it? Telltale signs. We already heard that when the wife spoke with investigators after the incident happened, she basically told the investigators that, you know what, because of the statements that were made, you broke my heart, as the defendant is firing at her husband. She's like, hey, I had no indication that there was an affair, but them statements, I ain't dumb. It seems like it might be something. But let's read this post real quick. Since I know you don't like public displays of anything, I'll keep it short. Now, this is Brodes Perry, the deceased pastor and husband, writing a message publicly to his wife Tabatha on what they say is Facebook. When I think of our marriage and ventures is what comes to mind. Our journey has led us from Florida to Arkansas and now Tennessee. And we've been blessed to see some of the world in between. We've experienced better, worse, richer, poor, sickness, health, and through all of that, I can't imagine life without you by my side. Thank you for navigating this thing called life with me. I love you and happy 5th anniversary. Now let's go catch this flight. Okay, so they go on the trip for their 5th anniversary.
Daniels is also charged with assaulting a police officer. Police say on Friday she took off running from her hospital room after police tried to handcuff her. She grabbed one of the officers by the uniform and started swinging at another, hitting him. Arkansas records show Daniels is a licensed certified social worker. Her license was issued in 2012 and expires in 2020.
Okay, so this happened in 2019, so she still had a valid license at this time. A licensed social worker. Now, of course, I've been following this since I heard it happen. Actually, I wouldn't say right when it happened, but shortly after it happened. And the funny thing about it is, not only is this female a social worker, but she specializes in domestic violence. You can't make this up. And of course, you know, all of these technical social training didn't have a rap tight enough. I'm serious. Like, you can't make this stuff up.
Now, Latoshia Daniels is being held without bond. She's due back in court tomorrow. I've reached out to the state to find out more about her license. When I get that information, I'll be sure to bring it to you.
All right, so we ain't got to go through that. I did see a little bit more about her license. So, of course, she pled not guilty. So state records show Daniels was licensed as a social worker in 2012 with specialties in anger management and domestic violence. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Like, how do we even get here? Specializing in domestic violence and anger management. But let's go over what happened today. Today was day one of the trial. Of course, they picked the jury and then they had opening statements. So the only thing I'm going to go through is the notes that I took from what seemed like an all-day event. It didn't take really all day. The jury selection took like the earlier part of the day, and then towards the end, this is when they actually started the case with opening statements. So of course, standard procedure, right? Prosecution goes first and then followed by the defense. And this is what the prosecutor said during their opening statement. So Brodes Perry, the pastor, husband right here, and that's his wife Tabatha. Okay, this is the defendant right here, larger photo on the left. Okay, her name is Latasha Daniels. So let's do it like this. I'm gonna just refer to her as the defendant, the victim, and the wife. Okay. All right. So the deceased pastor, Brodes Perry, they say the prosecutor said he's 36-year-old pastor, husband, and church member who was basically shot and killed in his house. He knew the defendant through the church. He was the pastor back in Little Rock, Arkansas. Okay, I believe the church was called Little Rock Church, and this was back in the fall of 2016. So 2016. The defendant was a member and life group leader going through a divorce. Okay, these are like telltale signs, man. Telltale signs. She going through a divorce. She seeked religion. She confided in the pastor. What else happened? We'll find out eventually. The defendant and Brodes began a sexual relationship around February of 2017. So they met in the fall, and less than 6 months later, 3 to 6 months, somewhere around there, they began to have a sexual relationship that continued until the end of 2018 or early 2019. So this actually happened where he was deleted. He was killed in 2019. So this relationship seemed to me, just from that opening statement by the prosecution, which I'm still not done with the notes, basically seemed like they had a breakup. I'm talking about the defendant and the pastor. Well, is the wife involved? Are we talking about some type of situation right here? Listen, I'm going to try and be as neutral as possible. But, man, some things you can't overlook. In October of 2018, Brodes moved to Collierville for a new job. The move strained the relationship, and Brodes decided he didn't want to continue it. So October of 2018 seems like the couple, the husband and wife, the pastor and his first lady, seemed like they were going through a rocky patch because of the move. The defendant left Little Rock, stopped at the store in Arkansas to buy a 9mm gun and ammunition, and drove 2.5 to 3 hours to Collierville. So basically, this relationship, the prosecution is saying, they all met, specifically the defendant and the pastor. They met in let's keep it like this. They met in Arkansas at his church. He took a new job in Tennessee, and this incident happened after she went and made a purchase and drove 2.5 to 3 hours to say hello in person. Tabatha Perry, the wife, considered the defendant her friend and let her into the house. The pastor was shot multiple times. The medical examiner found 5 bullets in his body. Tabatha was also shot as she knelt beside her husband trying to help him. So that's the opening statement notes that I have for day one. That was the prosecution delivering those opening statements. Now, of course, we didn't get the angle of the defense. So let's get into that. The defense delivered their opening statements, and this is the notes from that. So Latasha Daniels, the defendant, grew up surrounded by men who hurt women. I'm not saying it's not true, but I think you kind of have an idea of the defense. So again, the defense is saying that the defendant grew up surrounded by men who hurt women. Her father, a respected minister himself, abused her mother behind closed doors. So there may not be a record of that. That's very specific, behind closed doors. She got pregnant in high school at 17. Father mandated she marry a man who later cheated. What y'all think about that? She's 17 years old, probably getting ready to graduate. Not sure of the age of consent over in Tennessee, but it seemed like everything was good to go. And I mean good to go like from the point of not pressing charges, but encouraging her to not have a broken home. Doesn't seem like the child was born through some type of violence or some type of crime. So did the father do anything wrong? Did he mislead her? She attempted self-deletion after catching her husband cheating. Her second marriage, so she'd been married more than once, was emotionally abusive. So the first marriage doesn't seem like it was the best relationship. She was cheated on. Okay, got it. The second marriage, she was emotionally abusive. She would sit in the car crying before going home. Daniel sought spiritual guidance from the pastor, Brodes. I'm talking about the pastor here on screen. During their first counseling session, she poured her heart out about the lack of love in her relationships. By the time the second session rolled around, she was again pouring her heart out to the pastor right here. And he started kissing her. And they had sex on the second session. Ain't that sound familiar? The pastor. The pastor. Shit is crazy, man. I'm telling you. Y'all better watch y'all wives out here. They got pimps in the pulpit, it seemed like. God bless the dead. Let's continue. The relationship between the defendant and the pastor began with strict rules set by Brodes. She was required to use an app called Confide, CONFIDE, I never heard of it, for all their communications. She had to travel with him, but pay her own way. She was required to be naked in the hotel rooms and had to address him with yes, sir, or no, sir. Oh, no, man. I wonder, can they prove that was actually the case? Of course, she can say he said it, but do they have a record of it? Is there anybody who can verify that? And I only say that because sometimes in these opening statements, the defense and the prosecution goes to some extent to reach, right? They're reaching. But then again, we haven't got to the details of if that's true or not. But it seemed like the pastor was trying to keep his pimp game strong. Like he didn't really want to put all their information where his wife can find it. So he had her using a special app. But hey, when you know what I mean? Like, my pockets are tight, you know. The congregation didn't give me enough money to pay for you, so you're going to have to pay your own way. At least that's what they're alleging, right? And, yeah, when I get here to this hotel room, clothes are a no. And if you if you got anything to say to me, you better start it off by saying yes or no, sir. Yes or no, sir. And I guess that's how they went about their little fling. I wouldn't even call it a fling. It seemed like it lasted 2 years. Full-fledged relationship. Brodes, so we're talking about the pastor told his wife, Tabatha, had approved of this arrangement and said that they be sister wives, but Tabatha didn't know about the relationship for 2 years. Okay, so basically the defendant is saying that she was told by the pastor that his wife knew about it and that they will be sister wives because he wasn't leaving either one of them, huh? He want his cake and eat it too. Okay, so they're also contending that the defendant purchased a gun to end her own life after the pastor ended their relationship. She saw the Memphis exit and decided to see him one more time. She didn't mean to pop off with the pistol at the wife. This was not a premeditated deletion of the pastor either. She didn't plan to. She just bought the gun to delete herself, and then she said, you know what, let me just go see him one more time. I know he don't want me anymore, but let me go see him one more time. But rather, an emotional reaction occurred in the moment. So basically they doubled back and said that she was always surrounded by men who hurt her, and then they doubled back and said that this was not premeditated. Yes, she drove 2.5 to 3 hours, but she ain't really planned to go there and do what she did. It was emotional. She's a woman, and things went left. So this to me seems like it's going to be a very interesting trial. We're going to cover it. Maybe we'll, go live for parts of it, but definitely something worth staying up on. Like I say, if anybody is new here, make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel. Turn the notification bell on. The notification bell needs to be lit. It needs to be on so that you know when I'm dropping new content or going live. If you rocking with this case to see the outcome, you definitely don't want to miss any content related to it. But we got other stuff going on as well, so check out the content. I appreciate everybody for their support.